Good afternoon, and we're coming on the air because of an awful scene playing out today in Texas. An active shooter for a time at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. This is about 80 miles outside of San Antonio. There is word potentially multiple children have been killed. This happened at the Robb Elementary School in the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District. The alleged gunman opening fire off campus, then reportedly running into the school, barricading himself in a classroom where it's believed the shooting continued, the school on lockdown. Uvalde Memorial Hospital confirming at this hour 13 children arriving at the ER. That hospital also confirming to ABC News at least 2 children killed. But sources telling us at this hour this number could be far worse. I want to bring in investigative reporter Aaron Katersky as we look at aerials coming in from the scene. Again, Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. This is about 80 miles or so, perhaps a little longer the distance, but outside San Antonio, Texas. Reports that some have been brought to San Antonio as well. And again, one hospital already confirming 2 children dead. And Aaron, we're learning from sources at this hour that this is sadly going to likely be much worse here.
It does seem that way, David. Multiple law enforcement sources tell ABC News that potentially 14 people have been killed in this shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. That does include the suspect, we're told from multiple law enforcement sources, an 18-year-old suspected shooter killed as this shooting scene unfolded. Law enforcement sources have been trying to nail down specifically the numbers that they're working with. It is still an active scene, as you can see there. So many people gathered round to try and figure out what happened, taping off the areas that were the scene of this shooting. But multiple law enforcement sources tell ABC News, David, that potentially as many as 14 people, including a number of children, have been killed today at the school.
Chilling to hear that number, obviously in a time when we've been reporting on shootings on the rise in this country. Aaron, what more do we know about the scene as it unfolded? Initially, reports had come in that the shooting began off campus, then the shooter reportedly going into that school. Do we know anything more about where the children might have been targeted, whether or not inside the school or outside before that shooter made it indoors?
Nothing confirmed, David, and law enforcement sources say they are still trying to piece together exactly how all of this unfolded. They've focused on the suspected shooter, an 18-year-old who is, according to multiple sources, dead there at the scene after some kind of involvement with law enforcement. We also hear that at least one law enforcement officer may be among those shot, although the condition is not exactly clear. How this unfolded, whether it took place inside, outside, law enforcement sources say they are still trying to piece together, but the ATF, the